Hey guys, this is Rena. I have a little bit of a different video today. I wanted to share my hysterectomy story, and this is so weird because I never do face videos, but I thought it would be most appropriate to do one. So I had my hysterectomy on June 22nd, so I'm almost at my 2-week mark and I'm feeling great. So prior to my hysterectomy, I watched a lot of YouTube videos trying to see what everyone's experience was, trying to see what everyone did to prepare. So I thought I would pay it forward and do my own video just to let you know what my experience was like. So first, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. If you're having issues, female issues down there, make sure to reach out to your doctor or your OB/GYN. They can tell you all of the different things that you can do with your own problems, because I think the message that I got from my doctor is everyone's different and everyone kind of has like a different course of treatment that they may have to take. So maybe we'll talk about how I figured out I had to do something about stuff going on down there. So to backtrack, I've always had light periods, but I would say the last 2 years I have had some monster like periods. They really honestly take, you can ask any of my friends, my periods take me down for at least 2.5 weeks, half the month I'm dealing with this period, because a week prior to the period I'm having headaches, major fatigue, brain doesn't work, super tired. It's just like I'm a zombie. And then the period comes and it is like blood galore. It's like a ton of blood. It's super crazy, like tired and just like recovering from that. It's like at least 2.5 weeks out of the month I am just like feeling miserable. So I just ignored it. I didn't think there was a problem. Whatever, it's like you have a period and you know some days are heavier than others, and I'm just like, oh, maybe they're just getting worse now because I'm getting older. And you know, you're coming up upon, you know, your menopause age, which I was. So I've also been feeling like the last couple years like a fullness in my belly, and I chalked it up to, oh, I'm getting fat. And that is like not that's totally believable, because it's not like I eat super healthy or anything. Totally getting fat, that's why it feels full down there. And you know, I don't really do exercises and stuff like that as much as I should, so it totally makes sense that I would feel full. Also, the past, I would say solid 6 months, I've had this bad ASS back pain in the morning, debilitating. Like I can't even get up and walk. Like I would have to hang on to the walls and dressers to get up to go to the bathroom. The back pain was crazy, but again, I chalked it up to, oh, I'm getting older, and you know, you just have back pain and that's that. So these things were going on where I felt a fullness in my belly, and I had the back pain. And then also I noticed that sometimes when I would laugh or sneeze, some pee would leak out, and I was thinking like, oh, I only thought women who gave birth had that problem of, you know, peeing, you know, when you cough, and then I'll maybe, you know, all women have this problem, and I just was mistaken that only women who had children had that problem. So I'm like, that's odd that I'm leaking all of a sudden, because that never happened before. So that happened. And then, so those are the things that were going on that I totally ignored, that I chalked it up to either old age, or I'm coming upon menopause, or I don't eat well. So I was on the pill at the time, and somehow my prescription got erased from the system, which is odd because I've had that prescription for quite some time. So I was without using the birth control pill for like 8 days. And in those 8 days, it was like my body like rebelled against me. It was weird. I had this period that was the most ridiculous period I've ever seen. It looked like old blood. It was like a brown chocolate color. I know this is TMI, but you all have been through this. A brown chocolate color, and it was very mucusy and old and brown, and I'm like, ew, you know. And it went on for a long time, and I'm like, this is really weird. Why? And when I was when I was trying to deal with my birth control pill prescription, usually when I don't take it on time, I start my period. So it wasn't unusual that, oh, they're fixing my prescription, I'm not taking it, I started a period. That's not unusual, because when you've been on the pill a long time, even if you like miss it for like a couple hours, you'll start getting your period. That's how sensitive like my hormones were. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got a period, and because I stopped taking my pill, no big deal, but it was starting to bother me, like the color of it and stuff. So then I'm like, okay, whatever. And then during that week where I was off the pill, I started peeing like twice an hour. And I'm like, why am I urinating so much? What is happening? And I knew something was going wrong. I just totally ignored it. And then it was the peeing. I still had the back pain, and you know, the like heavy bleeding. And then I'm like, you know, this urinating thing is not right. So I'm like, I just need to face it. And I was really scared that I had cancer, because a friend of mine from high school had bladder cancer, and you're not supposed to get it like it usually affects like 60-year-old men. And so I'm like, oh man, like I was just so afraid of cancer. And so I was kind of ignoring all of these things. So then I'm like, whatever, I need to face my fear. So like at 9 o'clock at night, I decide to lay down on the bed, like, you know, straight. And then I felt like my belly, and I felt something like hard. And I'm like, whoa, what's that? And it was like, it affected like, you know, up to where your hoo-ha is, all the way up to like underneath my belly button. It's like this hard mass. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I literally thought, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, I hope it's not cancer. And so that night we went to the emergency room, and then this was like right before COVID. They made you shut down. Like this was before the coronavirus shut down. So Kaiser was closed, which is, you know, who I go to the doctor. And they said, oh, well, I called, and they said you can go to a different hospital that we contract with. So we went to that hospital, and I'm like, and it was the weirdest thing. This hospital, it just felt like creepy. Like no one said hi to us, like no one greeted us. We were in line for a while, and it was like coronavirus season, so it was like super, like the waiting room was kind of packed. So I'm like, this doesn't feel right. If I have cancer, I will just it's okay if I don't know for tonight, so I can like have a good night's sleep, and we'll deal with this tomorrow, because it just didn't feel right to stay in that emergency room. And what kills me is that most of my friends have had fibroids and endometriosis, and I can't think of a friend that doesn't have some sort of an issue that they're dealing with down there. So it didn't really occur to me that I had that it wasn't like a woman like based thing that I had. I just thought it was like a cancerous growth, because like when my friends tell me like, oh, I have a fibroid, like I can't picture that. Like I didn't know that you can feel fibroids like right underneath your belly button. That's how big they can get. But that's like, to fast forward, I did have a giant fibroid. That was the problem. So the next morning we go, and I get a appointment to see a doctor, and then the doctor is he was male, and so my husband went with me, and he was like sitting with me in the room. And then so I see the doctor, and I'm like, feel this. I'm like taking off all my clothes, laying down, feel this. And so he's like, oh, okay. So then he felt it. I'm like, you feel that? You feel that? And then he's like, yeah. He's all, we'll get you for, and I think he knew what it was, but you know how doctors can't tell you what it is. You have to take a test first. So he's all, we'll get you in an emergency like MRI, which by the way cost like $400. It was crazy. So we got the imaging done and they're like, oh, you just have a massive fibroid. And after that, you have an appointment with an OBGYN to discuss your options. So I feel like my decision process was a lot easier than what other people have to go through, because you know, my fibroid was inside my uterus and it like overtook my uterus. So my uterus was double the size and my fibroid was 7 inches. And since I don't plan on having kids, it's an easy decision for me to say, oh, I'll just have the hysterectomy. If you wanted to bear children, you have to go other avenues because, you know, you want to protect your uterus. That's the womb. That's where the baby is at. And, you know, if there's anything wrong with it, it's hard to get pregnant. But I didn't have plans on getting pregnant. So and then she said that my fibroid was so big, it overtook like the whole uterus, that if I were to have a myomectomy, and a myomectomy is when they only take away the fibroid and they try to maintain the uterus. It's like when they take away the fibroid, she said, yours, I would have to take, you know, your uterus tissue as well. And then because yours is so big, it would take like the whole uterus. So it doesn't make sense to do a myomectomy. She's like, and then you can do this other thing where it's embolization, where, I don't know, they cut off the blood supply or something and the fibroid dies or something, but sometimes it doesn't work, especially for a big one like mine, and it's not guaranteed. And I just wanted a guaranteed like option for myself, because like I can't take that much time off. I can't be down again in like the next, like, you know, whenever it decides to grow back. So they, so she gave me different options, and she was saying what was so interesting. She was saying like one of the treatment is like you have to wait for menopause and the fibroid will kind of shrink, or you have to like take birth control pills. And unbeknownst to me, I think I was like taking birth control pills and I was like treating my fibroid without even knowing it. And when I was without my birth control pills, the fibroid went crazy. So it's so weird that happened the way it did. Anyways, so she gave me my options. I chose the hysterectomy because she said like, you don't want to leave like tissue in there because it's just like another place that cancer can go. And then she said like, you don't want to leave your cervix in there because, you know, it might, I don't want to say attract cancer, but it's just like another place, you know, for cancer to grow. And the one important thing for me was like my hormones, and the place where hormones are made are in the ovaries. And I said, well, like, are you going to take my ovaries if I get a hysterectomy? And she says, no. She said the way that she operates is that if the ovaries are healthy and they're not cancerous and there's no growths on them, they leave the ovaries in there. So that was like kind of my deciding factor. Like, my ovaries are important to me. I don't want to be on like hormone replacement just yet. So I kept my ovaries, and then they took away, and I'll show you guys a picture later. They took away the uterus where the fibroid was inside it, and then the cervix, which is, the cervix is just like leads to your vagina, and the cervix is kind of like, I believe it's part of the uterus and it's just like the end of it. And then they took out the fallopian tube. So I've kept the, you know, vaginal canal and the 2 ovaries. So that's what I have in there. So anyways, that's how I found out I had a big old fibroid. It was crazy. Not knowing what it was, because it was in my stomach. Like I don't know what I was thinking where a fibroid would be. It just didn't occur to me that you could feel it right underneath your belly button. That's why I thought it was like a cancer of like the stomach rather than like a, you know, women's like, you know, uterine problem. So I'll talk about the day leading up to surgery. So during this like COVID nightmare that's happening, I was supposed to get my surgery April, like mid-April. So that didn't happen because they were not doing elective surgeries during coronavirus time. So I got a phone call saying, oh, June 22nd, can you do it? And thank God I did it because, you know, COVID is like rising up again and the hospitals in my area are full, so who knows when I would have been able to get the hysterectomy. And the reasons I did it was because like the whole peeing 4 times an hour and back pain and like bleeding, I didn't want to wait until menopause happened for all those things to go away, because I'm 44 and, you know, menopause can happen, you know, much later than that. And I don't, like, I could not live with all of that discomfort for an undetermined amount of time, because it was impacting my life. It was like slowing me down. It's like when I felt the fullness in my belly, like it's hard to kind of bend and all that. So like, it's like, like you don't feel like being active, and it just, hopefully I can be active again and like lose weight and, you know, feel like myself again. So I'll talk about the day of surgery. So before surgery, they had me take a hysterectomy class, and it was really interesting because they had to do it through Zoom because of COVID. You know, a lot of other women were in there too, but you couldn't see their face because it was like, you know, anonymous. And then the doctor was talking, and the one like takeaway from that was the doctor was saying, you know, some women feel like if you take away their uterus, they don't feel like a woman anymore, but I don't feel that way. There's no body part that you can take away from me that would not make me feel like a woman. I am a total woman, like 100%. Like, you can remove everything, I'm a freaking woman. But the one thing that I was kind of like mourning on is like, because my surgery was the 22nd, and coincidentally my last period, because when they take your uterus away, you can't have babies and you don't have a period, because that's where the period and baby organ is, the uterus. So I had my last period, and I'm like, and we all know I hate my periods, but it's just like bittersweet. It is like I felt personally like I was saying goodbye to my youth, which was hard. Because, you know, when you have a period, you're fertile and you're young, and now I'm not going to have a period anymore. And that thought just like crossed my mind. I'm fine. I mean, I'm not, it was just bittersweet. It was just like a weird one of those, wow, I'm passing another freaking milestone like in my life, you know. But that was like one interesting thing that the doctor said. So the other thing that I had to do prior to my surgery was, you know, go over it with my doctor again. And my doctor tells me, well, you know, your options, she gave me my options, and I picked hysterectomy because it was like either take birth control, and I was taking birth control and obviously it didn't work. And then the myomectomy, which I didn't want to do because it was just weird, like to have like little pieces of uterus, like, you know, because she would have to take a lot. It was just that hysterectomy was the best option, but she said she didn't know if she could do it laparoscopically, which is, to simplify it, laparoscopically would be just like a series of holes, and it's like a lot faster recovery. Or you have to do an incision for whatever reason. And she said that she was going to try a laparoscopy, so I would be like a quick recovery. But it ended up being that I did have to get an incision. That's why my recovery was like a little bit rougher than if I was just to get the laparoscopy alone. So also another thing, sorry, I'm jumping around. I didn't take notes. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. But this shows you how crazy it was for me, like, you know, making these big decisions and stuff. But again, I feel like I'm lucky because I didn't have to think about like my fertility and stuff like that. I know that's hard for some women. I can't imagine if I had to consider that, you know, as part of my decision-making process. but because it's coronavirus time, I had to get a coronavirus test because like, I guess if you have coronavirus and they have to do surgery on you, we lost my train of thought. So basically before surgery I had to take a coronavirus test. It was a freaking nightmare. I got the nasal swab and the throat swab, and the nasal swab is not fun whatsoever. It lasts like a second, but they take this stick, throw it back there in the back of your brain and just wiggle it, and it's like, ugh, like I've never felt that sensation before in my life. It was like it felt like they were swabbing my brain. So negative for coronavirus. So then we're good to go. You have to get your meds, you have to get your narcotics, which Kaiser doesn't give you. They give you like 3 days worth, that's all you get, and ibuprofen. And then pick up your meds, and then they give you this cleansing. I'll put some clips. I had Instagram stories, a bunch of like my journey. I wish I had done more, but I was just really tired and stressed. But you know, the Hyba cleanse, and then, you know, cleanse it with the antibacterial soap before surgery. You can't eat after 12. So then I went for the day of surgery, and I was so scared because I'm the type of person that watches, like, you know, medical mysteries and like when things go wrong in the EOR, and then I watch shows like when anesthesia fails. So like I'm like, oh my god, I hope that doesn't happen to me. So I'm like scared, heart's beating fast. They take my blood pressure, it's like hot, it's elevated, and I was asking the nurse, I'm like, could this impact my surgery? And she's like, you're still in range. So I'm like, oh, I have to calm down. So I tried to like be zen, calm down. But I was just really nervous and thinking about, like, I don't want to wake up. I hope nothing goes wrong. I hope they don't make a mistake. But the staff was really great. So, you know, before surgery, I got there at 7. So it's like 2 hours of pre-op. They're like taking your blood. I didn't even know what my blood type was. And so I asked the nurse, like, I'm like, hey, can you let me know? Cause I don't know. So I guess I'm O positive. I can't believe I didn't know that. I didn't know that. What else do they do? Well, you have to change, of course, and then take your blood. They like monitor you. They gave me like some Tylenol, so just to get ahead of the pain. And then I don't remember what else. I just remember just laying down there and them monitoring me, and then they put the little IV thing, and then like just stuff like that. And then so we go into surgery. And the anesthesiologist was great because he was talking to me. He's like, I had to check your file again. And he's like, I didn't understand why someone so young like needed this procedure. So I had to double check. It was funny. But he was like, okay, we're going to give you, sorry if this video is long. I just don't know how to make it shorter. So he says, your heart is beating fast. He's like, I know you're nervous, so I'm gonna give you something. And then I made this really off-color joke because, and I don't want to say it on YouTube because I don't want to be super vulgar on YouTube, but everyone laughed because I said something about, because one of the instructions is you cannot shave before the surgery because that just creates openings in your skin where, you know, infection might happen. So they say don't shave. So then I made a joke, and then all I remember is like the whole OR laughing. And then one of the nurses said, oh, we call it the, you know, coronavirus look. And then that is the last thing the last thing I remember is like the breathing mask coming. And then the anesthesiologist, Dr. Lee, he was like a middle-aged Asian guy. He says like, breathe in, this is the good stuff. And then that's literally all I remember. And then like you wake up, because like when you're under anesthesia, I've only been under anesthesia maybe 3 times. It is that you don't dream. It's like you don't exist. It's like no time has passed. You just like down, up, and like you're And then they're like trying to wake me up, and then I'm like, what time is it? And I started my surgery at 9, and then I think they said it was 2:30. It was 2:30 or 3:30, and I'm like, damn, did something go wrong? I mean, that seemed long for me. Like, okay, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 9. Anyways, it was 2:30. So I went in at 9, and then 2:30 is when I woke up. And then they're like, let's get ready to leave. And I'm like, dude, I just woke up. They're already throwing me in a, they gave me some like pain meds through the IV, and then they're already throwing me in a wheelchair. We gotta go urinate, gotta see if you can pee. And I'm like, oh my God, I just woke up. And so I'm like, okay. And then so I think I said something to the effect of, am I dead? And then all I remember is the nurse saying, sweetie, we're gonna rest for another hour. So then we rested, and then she's giving me ice chips, and then I coughed, and there was like phlegm, and then I held it in. I didn't want to swallow it again, and then so I had to like spit it out, and the nurse was awesome. I spit it out into a napkin. I know this is all TMI. And then we waited a little bit before we went, so we went to the bathroom, and then they make you urinate right away, and I urinated because like that's one of the things that you have to make happen. Like, you have to urinate, you have to urinate, and you have to do number 2. I'm not at the hospital, but you have to do it right away because there might be something wrong. So sorry if I'm all over the place too. So we get in the bathroom, and they're like, and they were gonna leave me alone in the bathroom. And I told, I think she was a tech, and I'm like, can you just stay with me? Because I was doing it by myself, but I just needed someone to be there in case I fell down. And then we put our clothes on, and then she's like, do you want to wear your bra? And I'm like, F no. And then she's like, your shoes? No, I don't want anything touching me, just my shirt and my pants. Let's do this, let's go. And then we went back to bed, and I asked the nurse, I'm like, can you just shoot me up again with some pain meds before I go home? And then she did, and it was amazing. And then they gave you all the instructions, and I'm just staring at her because I'm like, obviously still affected by the anesthesia, and then I just got pain medication, and she's giving me instructions, and I'm like, I didn't know what happened. So far I'm like, did I get an incision? Like, what happened? And then she's all, oh, they had to do an incision. And that was like the first moment where I knew like I had an incision, because I went in with the thought, oh, I'm just gonna get a laparoscopy. They're gonna remove the stuff through the holes from the laparoscopy, but my fibroid was so big that they had to make a 4-inch incision, typically where they do the incision for a C-section. But mine, I don't know how long a C-section is, but mine was 4 inches. And so typically the other things that happen are people say that you have gas pains because when you get a laparoscopy. So I had a laparoscopy. The doctor said I had a laparoscopy up until the point they had to like remove the uterus fibroid combo, but it didn't fit where they were trying to take it out of. So that's why they had to make an incision. So then I'm thinking like when they made the incision, maybe all the gases came out that way. But typically the gases can cause you pain. And it'll travel up to your shoulder, and thank God I didn't have that type of pain. So then they got me dressed up, and then we went home. But like, you know, they were showing me things and what to do, and then I had asked them like for different supplies because I needed the mesh underwear, and that is crucial. I think this video is long, so I might have to make a part 2, we'll see. So went home, and then I just like laid down immediately. And you need a support system when you go home, because especially with the type that I had with the incision, you cannot use your abdominal muscles whatsoever. Like, I can't explain to you, the first 3 days you can't even move. You can't, and then you have to be in front of your pain meds. You have to like take them like exactly when you're supposed to, because you don't want, like, in the first 3 days, any situation where you're not on pain. Well, at least for me, you just need to be on top of it. You need to be ready to take that when you have to, because it's painful. It's painful to the point where I couldn't go to the bathroom by myself. I had to have my husband, like, you know, I needed help getting up. I needed help pulling up, you know, the mesh underwear. And I didn't shower for 5 days or a week. It took me a while to, because I mean, I wasn't like dirty. I was just in bed all day. But it was painful. The first 3 days, I couldn't even like sleep on my side. I can't explain the pain. It just, I don't want to, it's not a stabbing pain. It's just, I don't know. It's just pain. And I can usually, you know, suck it up pretty good. But it was interesting because on day 5, I was like magically turned a corner. But you're still like, I can't explain the feeling. Like, I was still like right now I'm almost at 2 weeks. I'm not taking any pain medication, but I do still feel like a dull pain down there, but it's like level 1 as opposed to level 10, if that makes sense. The incision looked crazy. Like, one of my friends, Cindy, told me when she had her C-section, like, she felt like Frankenstein, and that is like a good description of what I felt like my incision looked like. It was like there was a glue like seeping out of it, like, because they use surgical glue, and it was like, I mean, they did a good job. It just looks scary. And there's like glue and bruising, and like it just looked, and it was red, it like looked gnarly. But it heals pretty fast. It looks, my incision looks pretty good now. But I don't know, like, I wish I had taken more time off, but I think the 2 solid weeks was pretty good. Like, if I were to take my ibuprofen right now, I'd be like pretty good. I just get tired easily, and like when I accidentally cough, or that was one thing, I accidentally coughed in the second day. I thought my guts spilled on the floor. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, I coughed, and I'm like, what did I do? And I like was screaming at my husband, can you check the floor if my guts are on the floor? Like, I accidentally coughed. That's how much it hurt, like on the second day. I don't know if I'm being helpful, but I will share next, like, the things that helped me out during my surgery. I wish I had the things in front of me. But because you don't have to, because you want to avoid using your ab muscles the first 3 days, going number 2 is a little tricky. So starting at day 2, I started taking Miralax, and this is a stool softener, and it makes it to where you don't have to like, you know, really push. It just slides out. But you need this if you have the incision. I don't know about just the laparoscopy alone without incision. If you would need stool softener, I would ask your doctor. But for me, because I had that incision, and like the like anytime I coughed or like moved the wrong way, it was like, holy moly, like, ouch. So this is, the stool softener is important. I started taking that at day 2, and I took it like every day. And you also take that too, not only because to help you with not having to like bear down, but also because you're taking narcotics. Either I was on Norco and like Percocet, I had to change it because the Norco wasn't working. Those tend to like lock you up. So the stool softener is also helpful for that. I had a cane walking around the first 3 days because I just needed to take pressure off my belly, and that I thought that was helpful, and it helped me like arise from the toilet when I needed to go to the bathroom. I also have a belly binder. Let me get it. I had gotten this one. It like binds under your waist, but it was too constricting for me. I just you need to ask your doctor too if you need one. I did not put it on tight. I just needed something. I just wanted to feel protected, if that makes any sense. So I had it on loose, but this is the one that I ended up liking because I just needed it to cover just that area. I think one of the most important things is this mesh underwear. So the hospital gave me some, and I like the hospitals better because it's a lot more flexible. I had got some on Amazon, and these are I don't know, like a lot tighter, and then they're not like these are more breathable than these ones, but they both work. So I think it's called like postpartum like mesh underwear, but these are important because like my regular underwear was hitting my incision, and that's not good because it might get like infected. So I used these. I had the cane, I had the Miralax, belly band. I think those are the things that I used to help me out. Oh, the most important thing, hold on. You need to wear comfortable clothes. So I had ordered more of these from Walmart. I'll put the link down below. But I lived in outfits like these. And I ordered, this is like an extra large. I just wanted it loose and comfy. And this Walmart one is only $9.94. It's like a beautiful material too. And it has pockets. So this, and I bought backups of these because these are wonderful, like for hysterectomy wear. Well, they're also my coronavirus wear too. But I love it. I love them. This is Walmart too, and I love the material, and it's like, it's good quality. It's like double stitched. It's nice. But for the hysterectomy wear, like when you have to go to the bathroom, you can just lift this up, go to the bathroom, and it's like super comfortable, and it's easy to get in and out of. This grabber thing, just to pick up random stuff. I used it more than I thought I would. Because it's hard to bend. You don't want to bend, you want to heal. So, you know, you just want to keep everything, like, you don't want to like overdo it. So this was helpful. I think those were all the things. One of the most important things is you have someone to at least help you the first 3 days at least, because you are not going to be able to get out of bed by yourself. You are not going to be able to go to the bathroom by yourself. You're not going to be able to like, you know, take a shower. I think they said you could take a shower the first 24 hours. I just showered on day 6. I did not care. I was not about having I was not even thinking about a shower. But just make sure you have someone to help you. That is important. I'm looking through my list. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna need help. And then make sure you have kind of like a support system around you. I was so lucky because like one of my friends sent food the first day, and I ate it over 2 days because I couldn't eat too much. And then you know, my neighbor was like on call. I didn't really need her, but she was on call in case I did. And then she made me this jello with like marshmallows and mandarin oranges, and it was delicious, and I ate that. But yeah, so I'm feeling good even though I had that incision. You just have to just rest if you can. I know sometimes like circumstances you can't rest. I was lucky enough to be able to just sleep all day. I just slept as much as I can because I only took 2 weeks off, so I just want to make sure that I was like healed up. So it's so boring just laying down and doing nothing. But I have an Instagram, and then I do all these like Instagram stories, and then all these women shared their story with me, and it's so interesting that there's just so many women who are affected by like women problems down there. And I'm like, man, like I feel like my surgery was so much easier than what other people have had to, you know, undergo. Anyway, so that was my hysterectomy experience. Hope this thing isn't too long. I just wanted to share it. I'm feeling good. It's just, I'm glad it's over, and I'm looking forward to like healing totally and like moving on. And everyone that I've talked to that's had a hysterectomy and doesn't, you know, I was like, oh, what about like not having a period anymore? And like everybody like loves it. And that was one of the things that was causing me issues. So I'm not sure why I'm like, it's hard to let go. It's weird. That's it. So hopefully you learned something, and don't be scared, because I was so super scared and everything turned out fine, hopefully. I haven't had my follow-up appointment yet, but after all that's said and done, like the amount that I was scared didn't like line up with what actually happened. Like it was actually a pretty smooth process as it was going along. I mean, there were some rough moments, but but it was it could have been a lot worse, I guess. So that's it. It was nice seeing you guys. Bye guys.